Good evening, team. Happy Sunday. My name is Carlos Garcia, founder and CEO of GAR Capital. This is the weekly GAR Capital recap here on YouTube. Glad to have you on board. August 18th, 2024, around 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let's go ahead and prepare ourselves for this upcoming week. But we'll go ahead and first recap the past week and see what happened, how we did, and what we can do moving forward. Here we go, and starting off with the weekly options recap. If you guys remember, I was out the week before. I didn't do morning notes or anything, but we started up the podcast this week, and the team really took care of business. I mean, since I was out, Apple 220 calls, beautiful bags everywhere. Amazon calls, Micron calls, Palantir calls. That was a wild ride. Everyone will tell you. Microsoft 415 calls, IWM 212 calls. The carryover trades we had were the Mara calls and the Robinhood calls, which we got hit with that flush from the Bank of Japan Japanese yen carry trade where we had that volatility. And then we just bounced back. Can you believe that the stock market had its best week since November of 2023? Imagine that. So much that happened in just the past, 2 weeks? Um, I mean, just insane. We haven't had an 8-day win streak since November 2023, and it could happen again tomorrow. And the past 4 years that we had an 8-day win streak during the year, this is what happened. 2013, stock market was up 29.6%. 2017, stock market was up 19.4%. 2019, 28.9%. 2021, same deal, 26.9% return. So far this year, 16.4% year to date on the S&P. That's via Ryan Dietrich on Twitter. So we got some tailwinds, meaning that we got the win in our sales, and I think we go continue higher. But the options market was absolutely killer. Let's take a look at the trophy room and see how they did, how everyone did, and SPY calls. We talked about that on the what is this? The Market Watch tab. That's our play-by-play analysis. Another one here, 50 percenter, Palantir. Oh man, bought the averaged out and bought the dip. Well done. SPY, I think it was another SPY trade here. Palantir calls, they held them. Good for them. I'm just gonna like all of these because I love this. This is my favorite part of the job is seeing you guys absolutely crush it. So I'm gonna give you guys a little love here. Trophy room is available for everyone on our Discord server, and if you haven't joined already, make sure to click. Read the scroll below and go to our website and make sure to join in. Great options week as well. Shout out to Nick for futures as well. Another great week here. We do have a limit order on NASDAQ long, and he went ahead and posted his video. He's so quick. It's faster than me. We also have our watch list up there with our other Nick. So that is out for everybody who is a premium, or that's not premium anymore. It's options signals, excuse me. Still getting used to it. And we also have the stock market summary. Nick on fire. Team is on fire and on point. We hope that if you're not a member, you'll join us as soon as possible so we can ride this bull train to the moon. At least that's what the expectation is for the end of the year. At least what I think. NASDAQ futures. Let's take a look at it. 19,698. We talked about that 700 level on the podcast. We talked about it on video. How many times? I want you to take a look at something, and it's going to be very interesting. I put SPY, NVIDIA, Apple, and NASDAQ together. So again, you have futures, you have a stock, and another ETF. And if you notice, we're starting to test some key levels to break out. Now, in terms of what we expect this week, let's take a look at it. Here's what we got. We got FOMC Waller speech on Monday, Palo Alto Networks earnings on Monday, Target earnings on Wednesday, FOMC meeting minutes on Wednesday, jobless claims again on Thursday, services and manufacturing PMI on Thursday, existing home sales on Thursday. Fed Chair Powell will have a speech on Friday, and also new home sales. So it's going to be a fun one. Not tons going on in terms of major economic news, only towards the tail end of the week. But I think the price action still remains. Look at futures, green this evening, and we're starting to test those breakout levels. Will we reject or will we continue higher is really the question. And I think we can use a couple of ways to see the future or the hints of it or tells. And let's go to the volatility index. Yes, VIX turns volatile. What else is new? You're now at the 100-day moving average, I know. Still got a little more to the 200. And look, if we just go back to the reversion of the mean, we're still in the top end of this channel, really since March. So We still have a little more to go. Maybe we get down around the 12 level on the VIX. Not a lot of fear out there, especially in a quiet August. Relatively speaking, usually August is quiet, not the past 2 weeks. Am I right? It's been absolutely bananas. Let's go and take a look at 10-year Treasury yields. I know macro, boring, but it's stuff that we need to read. So the VIX being the first thing, take a look at 10-year Treasury yields. This is going to affect mortgage rates. So we're still looking for continuation. Remember this dotted line I drew that I expected we were going to fall more? Well, it took a little bit, but we got there. 3.813 is the target for a breakdown. We've been lower before, which was August 5th. So again, we want to break those lows. Let's go ahead and place an alert below those lows from August 5th. And if we do, we're taking a look at possibly 3.2% on 10-year Treasury yields, possibly to 3% by the end of the year. Very, very possible. 3% would kind of be that sweet spot. That would be the lows that we haven't had since last year. Last November. And that's probably the lowest that we've had mortgage rates at that point. We'll take a look at the dollar. Again, this is going to be helpful. Remember this dotted line I drew and this right here? We're on the way. So again, I'm still looking for 100.84, let's say. That gets us back to December 2023 lows. And that's not even the lows of the past 18 months. That would be June of 2023. So we still got a little more to go. Let's see if we still target down to the 100 and 101 level on the dollar. And again, that's going to help what? Small caps and tech. Let's take a look at small caps. The Russell on the daily, right on the 20-day moving average. We need that to break. And if we do, I like RTY up to 2230. So that's going to be something I am watching. If we are looking at IWM, very, very similar. Keep an eye on the 220 calls. If we can get above, let's say 215, 220. Okay, guys, 215 to 220. I'm going to talk about that a little more on our daily podcast, kind of the names I'm watching, but IWM is definitely something I'm looking at as I expect interest rates to continue to fall, the dollar to continue to fall, and the VIX to continue to fall. All right, so let's go ahead, get back to NASDAQ. NASDAQ is above the 50-day moving average. I like us to go long here, but let's see if we can get confirmation. Maybe we can get above 670 to 680, possibly to 700. 700 would confirm to me the breakout. And again, the next target on the NASDAQ, guys, is only really 300 points more at 20,000. 20,000 is going to be that major hurdle we want to clear. We are not overbought quite yet. That's why I say we still have more upside room. At least economic data is in our favor. We have good labor market. We didn't have mass unemployment or anything like that. So again, kind of the Goldilocks effect. We had craziness that we just had past couple of weeks. We know that, but we bounced off it and we're looking rather decent. So if you remember August 8th being the lows, I was out that day. I had contractors on my roof, 17,714. Imagine that dip. So that's probably the lows for the year, in my opinion. I don't see us rolling over unless we have some major geopolitical event, meaning like a world war. That's really it. The only other thing I can think of is if the Fed does not cut in September. I think the market will have a tantrum. I don't think that's an issue of systemic risk, but I think the market is very sensitive. It wants what it wants. Look at the past that we've dealt with in terms of any economic crisis, whether it's Silicon Valley Bank, whether it's kind of the interest rates having issues with the bond market. All these banks do have these longer term bonds on their balance sheet, and they're in the red because rates have gone up so high and these bonds values have gone lower. So these banks are waiting for rates to be cut. So that's a risk. If the Fed does not cut rates in September, there will be a tantrum to be had. That actually kind of fits the October fall flush, if there is to be one. I don't think there will be. In an election year, I think they're going to cut 25 basis points. It's pretty much set in stone. But again, it is a risk. If it doesn't happen, yeah, we're talking about 18,000 again. Market would be pissed. A lot of selling, I would expect, if we don't get at least a 25 basis point cut in September. So there's the NASDAQ. Again, not overbought yet. We're still at 56. So that tells me overbought will be at 20,000, more than likely. All right, on the daily. So that's going to be our money number. More than likely, it's probably where you're going to be selling. Again, depends on how quick we get there. You know, if it's a slow grind there, fine. But if it's a big spike to 20,000, I would put a limit order to sell at 20,000. Use that as resistance, and then get back to 19,700. So it'd be like more of a tactical play than anything else than just staying long, for example. Let's take a look at S&P 500 futures. Again, very similar price action as the NASDAQ. We're not at overbought yet. Alert at 5,600. If we break that, all-time highs, guys, that's what's gonna happen. Okay, so that's what we're really looking for here is the break of 5,600. The issue is 20,000 NASDAQ. Will that kind of pull the S&P higher, or will this just be a rotation? That remains to be seen. But as of right now, it just seems like all these stocks are at key levels of resistance, same as Nvidia. Again, you are above the 50-day. Nasdaq is kind of fighting the 50-day at the moment. I expect that to go higher. Look at this trend line breakout. I like a target for Nvidia up to 135 ahead of earnings. But then after earnings, depending where it is, I would assume that going into Nvidia's earnings will probably be right around 140 or so. It'll probably be a double top sell-off unless there's some amazing news and amazing earnings. But gaps have been filled. There is no more gaps to be filled to the upside, at least that. So we will see with Nvidia, but it looks very bullish here. And we're expecting more continuation. Nvidia's earnings, I believe, are in 2 weeks. Not as of yet. So again, I'm bullish on Nvidia for long here. But let's see if we get that push. Let's see. There's one more here. I was looking at Apple. And Apple, we do have calls. There is a beautiful gap to fill at 232 at a very key level of resistance from July. And that's where we expect to break out. All right. So we expect a little more juice to 232 for Apple. Again, earnings risk is off the table. Probably the biggest risk this week will be the Jackson Hole meeting. That's on a Friday. So I think that we'll get continuation into that speech by Chair Powell. August 19th, which is Monday, according to the stock market almanac, historically speaking, is bullish, and Wednesday is bullish as well. Here's a note here. Week after August expiration mixed, the Dow up 9 of the last 18, down 4.2% in 2022. That doesn't really tell us much, but at least Monday and Wednesday, according to historical precedent, we're expecting a green week. Another one. Tomorrow, if we get a green S&P day, that will be 8 in a row. That's the best since November of 2023. Not bad at all. Let's see if we get that continuation. All right, team. So I'll be watching futures, and let's see if we can get that break and kind of ride it a little higher into the London Open, which I think is at 3 in the morning. We'll see what they do. So maybe with a little luck, we'll wake up in the morning on Monday with a nice smile and probably the Dow up 150 points or 200 points. That'd be nice. Let's see if we get it. Have a great rest of your evening. Thanks for joining me again, and I'll see you tomorrow for the morning note here on YouTube. Make sure to like this video if you like them and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future videos. Thanks again. Cheers all.